First contact and resistance. The Krelax Empire had dominated the galactic arm for millennia. Standing over 3 meters tall with gleaming chitinous exoskeletons and 4 powerful limbs, tipped with razor-sharp claws, they were the perfect hunters. Their compound eyes detected movement across vast distances. Their sensory nodes could smell fear molecules from kilometers away, and their neural processors calculated combat scenarios faster than most species could blink. Evolution had crafted them into the ultimate apex predators. Their expansion had been methodical and inevitable. 17 star systems had fallen to their superior biology and technology. The pattern never varied. Arrive, demonstrate overwhelming force, accept surrender. The occasional resistance was crushed swiftly, serving as an example to others. The Krelax understood the universal language of predator and prey. It was the natural order. Supreme Commander Vexarin stood on the command deck of the dreadnought in inevitable dominance, his massive frame towering over the bridge crew as he studied the holographic display of a small blue-green planet. "This system appears insignificant," he said, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through the chamber. Preliminary scans. Science Officer Ketra manipulated the controls with her secondary limbs. Dominant species has achieved rudimentary spaceflight, established a small orbital habitat around their moon, and sent primitive probes to nearby planets. Technology level suggests ease of conquest. Biological assessment. Vexaran inquired, his compound eyes reflecting the blue-green light of the holographic Earth. "They call themselves humans," Ketra continued. "Bipedal mammals. Physically unimpressive. No natural armor. Limited sensory capacity. Fragile skeletal structure. No significant adaptations for combat." Tactical Officer Zornax chittered in amusement. "Their civilization is fractured into hundreds of competing territories. They expend resources fighting among themselves. Their most advanced weapons rely on chemical propellants and crude nuclear fission." Vexarin flexed his mandibles, a gesture of dismissal. "Standard conquest protocol. Send the ultimatum. Give them 1 planetary rotation to respond." The message was broadcast across all frequencies in multiple languages, the Krelax translation matrices quickly adapting to Earth's communication systems. "We are the Krelax Empire. Your world has been claimed for our expansion. Submit to our rule or face extinction. You have 1 planetary rotation to respond." On Earth, the message was received simultaneously by every communication device. Initial disbelief gave way to panic as astronomical observatories confirmed the presence of massive alien vessels in high orbit. World leaders scrambled to coordinate a response, militaries mobilized, and civilians alternated between terror and defiance. An emergency United Nations Security Council meeting convened within hours. "We should negotiate," urged the Chinese representative. "We cannot possibly resist such advanced technology." "Negotiate what?" countered the American ambassador. "This is clearly an ultimatum, not an invitation to dialogue." The Russian delegate leaned forward. "If we surrender, we survive as slaves. If we fight, we at least die with dignity." After heated debate, Earth's response was transmitted, simple and unified. "We reject your ultimatum. This is our world. We will defend it." When the transmission reached the inevitable dominance, Vexaran made a gesture that approximated satisfaction. As expected, they choose resistance rather than immediate submission. Predictable prey behavior. The Krelax assault followed a pattern refined through centuries of conquest. First, they disabled Earth's satellite networks with precision energy weapons, disrupting global communications. Then came strategic strikes against military installations, power grids, and transportation hubs. Their goal was not to destroy Earth, but to break human resistance with minimal damage to the resources they sought to claim. Landing craft descended on key locations worldwide, deploying Krelax warriors, each equivalent to a small tank in firepower and resilience. They expected token resistance followed by surrender. What they encountered defied all Krelak's military doctrine. In the mountains of Colorado, a Krelak's landing zone came under immediate attack, not from military forces, but from civilian militias using hunting rifles and improvised explosives. Their weapons barely scratched Krelak's armor, but their tactics were unpredictable, attacking, retreating, and disappearing into the landscape before the aliens could respond effectively. In Eastern Europe, Krelak's forces attempting to secure major cities found urban environments transformed into death traps. Buildings were rigged to collapse, streets mined with explosives, and human snipers fired from countless windows. Progress became impossible without massive destruction, which contradicted orders to preserve infrastructure. In Southeast Asia, human forces allowed Krelak's troops to advance into carefully prepared killing zones, then unleashed concentrated artillery and airstrikes, sacrificing territory to inflict maximum casualties. On the command ship, Vexaren received increasingly concerning reports from ground commanders. Supreme Commander, these humans, they don't fight like other species, reported Field Commander Mektorin, his transmission filled with static from ongoing electronic warfare. When their leaders fall, their formations don't break. They adapt to our tactics almost immediately, and they show no fear of death. Impossible, Vexaren chittered. Every species fears death. It's a biological imperative for survival. These humans seem to override it, Mektorin insisted. They launch suicide attacks against our positions. They sacrifice themselves to protect their wounded. Our psychological warfare tactics have minimal effect. Vexaren studied the battle reports with growing concern. The conquest that should have been completed in days was stretching into weeks. Krelak's casualties, while not critical, were higher than in any previous campaign. "Show me their weapons development," he ordered. The tactical display shifted to show human military research facilities. To Vexaren's astonishment, humans were already reverse engineering captured Krelak's technology. In less than 3 weeks, they had progressed from studying alien materials to developing prototype countermeasures. "This is unprecedented," observed Science Officer Ketra, her normally composed demeanor showing signs of agitation. "Their adaptation rate exceeds any species we've encountered by orders of magnitude." A communication alert flashed on the main display. "Supreme Commander, the humans are broadcasting on our command frequency," the communications officer reported. "They've broken our encryption." "Impossible," Vexaren hissed. "Put it through." The holographic display showed a human female in a military uniform. Her face showed no fear, only determination. "This is General Helena Reyes of the United Earth Defense Force. We've studied your biology, your technology, and your tactics. You expected us to behave like prey. That was your first mistake. Humans have never been prey. We've been apex predators on our world since we first picked up stones as weapons. We survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, and our own destructive tendencies. We didn't thrive because we were the strongest, fastest, or most armored. We thrived because we never, ever stop adapting." Vexaren's compound eyes narrowed as he studied the human. There was something in her stance, her voice, that triggered ancient instincts he couldn't identify. General Rice continued, "We're giving you one opportunity to withdraw from our system. After that, we will show you what happens when you corner a species that turns adversity into advantage." The transmission ended before Vexaren could respond. For the first time in his long military career, the Supreme Commander felt something unfamiliar ripple through his nervous system, a sensation the Krelaks had not experienced in thousands of years of uncontested dominance. It was uncertainty, defiance, and revelation. 3 months into what was supposed to be a routine conquest, Supreme Commander Vexaren could no longer deny the obvious. The Krelaks campaign on Earth was failing. The holographic tactical display on the bridge of the inevitable dominance told a story that defied all imperial military doctrine. Red icons representing lost Krelaks positions and destroyed warships multiplied daily. Blue markers showing human resistance not only persisted but expanded. Most disturbing were the purple indicators. Human forces now equipped with modified Krelax technology. How is this possible? Vexaran demanded, his massive frame vibrating with barely controlled rage. They were primitives. Science Officer Ketra's antennae drooped in submission. The human's learning curve defies all predictive models. Supreme Commander, they're not merely copying our technology. They're improving it for their specific needs. The evidence was undeniable. Humans had reverse-engineered Krelax energy weapons, adapting them to work with Earth's power systems. They'd analyzed Krelax communications and developed jamming systems that left landing forces isolated. Most alarmingly, they'd begun to understand the biochemical basis of Krelax sensory systems and were developing compounds that blinded, confused, or paralyzed Krelax warriors. Their social structure is equally baffling, added cultural analyst Threnfor. When we destroy their command centers, new ones emerge. When we eliminate their leaders, new ones take their place immediately. There's no central point of control we can target to break their resistance. Field Commander McTorrin's voice crackled through the communication system from the North American front. Supreme Commander, we've lost another 3 landing zones since dawn. The humans are using a new tactic. They've developed a sonic weapon that targets the resonant frequency of our exoskeletons. Our warriors are incapacitated without firing a shot. Vexaran slammed his primary limb against the command console. Impossible. Their technology was centuries behind ours. How could they develop such weapons in mere months? They collaborate in ways we've never observed in other species, Ketra explained. Scientists, soldiers, civilians, they all contribute to problem solving. Their communication networks have evolved despite our efforts to destroy them. They're sharing discoveries globally, building on each other's innovations at an exponential rate. On the main view screen, footage from ground forces showed a new human assault on a Krelax stronghold. Instead of the expected frontal attack, humans had burrowed beneath the facility. They emerged within the perimeter defenses, deployed localized EMP devices that disabled Krelax weaponry, and used captured technology augmented with their own innovations to overcome the defenders. Most disturbing to Vexaran was not their tactical ingenuity, but the expression visible on the human faces. There was no fear, only fierce determination. And something else, something that looked unsettlingly like excitement. They're enjoying this, he realized with shock. They're treating this like a challenge rather than a death sentence. As he contemplated this revelation, an alert sounded. Supreme Commander, our orbital defense grid is under attack, reported the tactical officer. Multiple small human craft approaching from inside the atmosphere. The view screen shifted to show hundreds of small, crude-looking spacecraft rising from Earth. They were clearly assembled from salvaged materials. Some even incorporated repurposed Krelax components. Individually, they posed little threat, but there were so many, approaching from so many vectors, that the defense grid couldn't target them all. Impossible, Vexaran hissed. They had no spaceflight capability beyond their moon. They didn't, Ketra confirmed, her voice tinged with something approaching admiration. They built these in the past week, using knowledge gained from studying our landing craft. The small human vessels swarmed the Krelax defense platforms. Many were destroyed, but enough reached their targets to attach explosive devices that detonated simultaneously, creating gaps in the orbital defense network. Through these gaps came Earth's military spacecraft, converted passenger planes, and cargo rockets hastily retrofitted with salvaged alien technology. They took devastating losses but pressed forward with suicidal determination. Supreme Commander, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human command. It's on all frequencies, bypassing our security protocols. The holographic display activated, showing General Helena Reyes again. Behind her stood a diverse group of humans, military officers, scientists, and civilians united in purpose. Supreme Commander Vexaran, she began, using his name and title perfectly. Your invasion has given humanity something we've lacked for centuries: unity. We were divided by borders, ideologies, and old grievances until you arrived. Now, we stand as one species with a common goal." She gestured to a device beside her, clearly Krelax in origin, but modified with human components. "We've studied your primary communication network. We know the Krelax Empire is waiting for news of your victory. They won't receive it. This is your final opportunity to withdraw," she continued. "We've developed a weapon that targets the unique quantum frequency of your faster-than-light communications. One activation, and your empire will never hear from this fleet again. You will be isolated, alone in the darkness between stars." For the first time in recorded Krelax history, a supreme commander faced a choice between retreat and annihilation. Vexaren's compound eyes narrowed as he studied General Reyes, searching for any sign of deception. He found none. "You would destroy us after we withdraw?" he questioned. "That would be the logical choice." General Reyes shook her head. "That's where you've misunderstood us from the beginning. Humans aren't driven solely by logic or instinct. We're capable of hatred, yes, but also mercy. We don't want to destroy you. We want you to learn." "Learn what?" Vexaren demanded. "That the universe isn't divided simply into predators and prey," she answered. "The most successful species aren't those that dominate through strength, but those that adapt through cooperation. If your empire can understand that, perhaps we can eventually find a way to coexist." Silence fell across the command deck of the inevitable dominance. For centuries, the Krelax had operated on a simple principle: conquer or be conquered. The concept of coexistence with a species capable of defeating them was entirely alien, yet the evidence was undeniable. This primitive mammalian species had done what 17 other civilizations could not. They had fought the Krelax to a standstill and now offered terms. Vexaren made the most difficult decision of his life. "I will withdraw our forces," he announced. "But this is not over. I will return to the Empire with what we have learned." General Reyes nodded. "We'll be waiting, and we'll be ready." As the Krelax fleet prepared for departure, Science Officer Ketra approached her commander privately. "Supreme Commander, I've been analyzing what makes humans different from other conquered species. I believe I've found the answer." "Explain," Vexaren ordered. "The Krelax evolved as apex predators, unchallenged on our home world. Our instinct is to dominate through superior strength," she began. "Humans evolved differently. They were neither the strongest nor the fastest on their planet. They survived through adaptation and cooperation." She displayed a series of historical human images. Primitive humans hunting creatures many times their size by working together, building increasingly complex tools, teaching each other new skills across generations. "While we perfected our natural weapons, they transcended theirs," Ketra continued. "When faced with superior strength, they don't submit as prey should. They innovate. They find weaknesses. They adapt. And most importantly, they collaborate in ways our species never needed to develop." Vexaren contemplated this as the blue-green Earth receded on the view screen. "You're suggesting that our evolutionary success as apex predators has become our weakness." "Precisely," Ketra confirmed. "The Krelax Empire has never needed to adapt because we've never faced a true challenge. These humans have spent their entire evolutionary history overcoming challenges. They thrive on them." As the fleet accelerated toward the jump point, Vexaren made a second unprecedented decision. "Record everything we've learned about humans. When we return to the Empire, we will not call for reinforcements to conquer these humans. We will propose something new." "What do you mean, Supreme Commander?" Ketra asked. Vexaren's compound eyes reflected the distant stars. "If the Krelax are to survive in a universe where creatures like humans exist, we too must adapt. Perhaps there is something to learn from a species that turns disadvantage into strength." As Earth vanished behind them, Supreme Commander Vexaren contemplated a future unlike anything in Krelax history. One where the apex predators of the galaxy would need to evolve not their claws or armor, but their understanding of what truly makes a species successful in the cosmic order. And on Earth, humanity began preparing for the Krelak's return, not just with weapons, but with the possibility that even the most fearsome predators might someday become allies in a galaxy far more complex than either species had imagined.